There's a specific type of person that manipulators learn to avoid, not because they're aggressive, not because they're confrontational, not because they call you out or make a scene. It's subtler than that. It's the way they look at you when you're performing, like they can see the strings, like they're watching a magic trick they've already figured out. It's the way your best tactics just don't land. Your charm bounces off them. Your guilt trips go nowhere. Your carefully constructed stories are met with a polite smile and a boundary you didn't see coming. And here's what makes manipulators uncomfortable. These people aren't trying to resist you. They're just not playing the game. And when someone refuses to play, you can't win. You've met this person before. Maybe you tried to manipulate them. Maybe you watched someone else try and fail. Or maybe, if you're honest, you've tried to become this person and discovered it's harder than it looks. Because here's what we get wrong. We think people who can't be manipulated are cold, guarded, suspicious, that they've built walls so high nothing gets through. But that's not it at all. The people you can't manipulate aren't closed off. They're awake. We need to understand what manipulation actually is before we can understand who's immune to it. Manipulation isn't about what you say. It's about what you make someone feel so they do what you want without realizing they didn't want to. It's the friend who always has a crisis right when you're about to set a boundary. It's the partner who goes silent until you apologize for something you didn't do. It's the parent who says, "I'm not mad, just disappointed," and watches you scramble. It's emotional puppeteering, and it only works when someone is afraid of the feeling you're threatening them with. Guilt, shame, rejection, loneliness, inadequacy. Manipulators are just emotional cartographers. They map your fears and then threaten to take you there unless you comply. But some people have been to those places already. They've sat with guilt and realized it doesn't kill you. They've been rejected and survived. They've disappointed people and discovered the world didn't end. And once you've been to the place someone's threatening you with, the threat loses its power. You can't scare someone with a destination they've already visited and made peace with. Here's the paradox. The people you can't manipulate often look like the easiest targets. They're empathetic, they're kind, they listen, they care about how their actions affect others. Everything a manipulator looks for, but there's one critical difference. Their empathy doesn't come from fear, it comes from choice. They're not nice because they're afraid of being disliked. They're kind because they've decided to be. And the moment they decide not to be, no amount of guilt or pressure will change their mind. Manipulators scan for people pleasers. And these people often look like people pleasers. But they're not. They're just people who please themselves first and others second. And that order is everything. Let me tell you what manipulators see when they try to control someone like this. First, they try charm, compliments, attention, mirroring, the standard playbook. And the person receives it warmly, smiles, thanks them, even. But nothing changes. The boundary stays. The no remains a no, so they escalate. They try guilt. After everything I've done for you, I thought we were close. I guess I was wrong about you. And here's where it gets interesting. A normal person scrambles, explains, justifies, tries to prove they're not the bad guy. But this person just pauses, looks at you, and says something like, "I understand you're upset, but my answer is still no." No explanation, no justification, no need to prove anything. And that's when the manipulator realizes, this person doesn't need me to think well of them, which means I have no leverage. So they try the nuclear option: anger, threats, withdrawal of affection, the silent treatment. And the person who can't be manipulated does something that feels impossible to everyone watching. They let you leave. They don't chase. They don't fix. They don't break themselves open trying to repair something they didn't break. They just let the consequence happen. And manipulators, who are used to people collapsing under that pressure, suddenly have no move left. Meet Rebecca. 36. Soft-spoken. Works in HR. Her sister has been borrowing money for a decade. Always an emergency. Always a promise to pay it back. Never does. Last month, her sister called again. Eviction notice. Kids involved. The whole script. And Rebecca said, "I'm not able to help this time." Her sister cycled through the playbook. Crying. Anger. What kind of sister are you? You're really going to let your nieces go homeless? Old Rebecca would have caved. Would have emptied her savings account while her own bills piled up. But this Rebecca has been to therapy. She's learned the difference between helping and enabling, between compassion and self-destruction. So she said, "I love you, and I'm not giving you money." And then she didn't answer the next 15 calls. Her sister found another solution. She always does. And Rebecca slept fine. Because she's learned that other people's emergencies don't have to become hers. Meet David, 42, divorced, dating again. He meets someone. She's charming, attentive, intense, texts constantly, wants to see him every night. 3 weeks in, she starts testing. Goes cold for a day. Watches to see if he'll panic. He doesn't. He just goes to the gym, reads, lives his life. She comes back warm. He receives her warmly, but he doesn't ask where she went or why. Doesn't need to know. She tries again. "I feel like you're not really invested in this." Old David would have reassured, explained, proved his feelings. New David says, "What makes you feel that way?" Puts it back on her. Doesn't accept an accusation as fact just because it was spoken. She realizes she can't create anxiety in him that he'll then try to resolve by giving her what she wants. So she moves on, finds someone easier, and David dodges a bullet without even knowing he was in the line of fire. Meet Kendra, 28, the only one in her friend group who doesn't get pulled into drama. When two friends are fighting and each one calls her to complain about the other, she listens, empathizes, and refuses to take a side. That sounds really hard. Have you talked to her about it? When they push her to agree that the other person is wrong, she doesn't. I can see why you feel that way. I think she sees it differently. She doesn't triangulate, doesn't carry messages, doesn't let people use her as a weapon against each other. And because she won't play, people stop trying to recruit her. She's still invited, still loved. But she's not useful for manipulation, and that makes her the safest person in the room. Let's go deeper into the psychology. What actually makes someone immune to manipulation? It's not intelligence. Plenty of brilliant people get manipulated daily. It's not experience. Plenty of people get manipulated by the same tactics for decades. It's something closer to what psychologists call differentiation. Differentiation is your ability to know where you end and someone else begins. To feel someone's anger without becoming responsible for it. To witness someone's pain without making it yours to fix. To hear someone's disappointment without letting it dictate your choices. Low differentiation looks like, "You're upset, so I must have done something wrong. So I need to fix it, so I'll do whatever you want." High differentiation looks like, "You're upset. That's valid. And also not something I need to fix by abandoning myself." People who can't be manipulated have high differentiation. Not because they don't care, but because they care about themselves as much as they care about you. And that equal care makes them impossible to control. There's also this. They've developed what I call emotional object permanence. When a manipulator withdraws affection, threatens to leave, goes silent, most people panic. Because on some level, they believe, if I can't see the love, it doesn't exist. But people who can't be manipulated know, your withdrawal doesn't change my worth. Your anger doesn't make me bad. Your disappointment doesn't make me wrong. They've internalized their own value enough that external validation, while nice, isn't necessary for survival. And when you don't need someone's approval to feel okay, they can't use that approval as leverage. Here's what it costs to be someone who can't be manipulated. Because there is a cost. People will call you cold, selfish, unfeeling. They'll say you've changed, that you used to be so nice, that success or therapy or your new partner has made you difficult. What they mean is, you used to be controllable, and now you're not. And that's inconvenient for me. You'll lose relationships. Some of them will have mattered to you, because some people only know how to connect through manipulation. And when you stop participating, there's nothing left. You'll second-guess yourself, wonder if you're the problem, if you're being too rigid, if maybe you should just give in this one time. And sometimes you'll give in, and you'll remember why you stopped. But here's what you gain. You gain yourself back. You gain the ability to sleep at night without replaying every interaction, wondering if you did enough, said enough, were enough. You gain relationships that are built on reality instead of performance. You gain the trust of people who've been manipulated before and recognize safety when they see it. You gain the quiet, unshakable knowing that the life you're living is yours, not a reaction to someone else's needs or fears or tactics. And that's worth more than being liked by people who only like the version of you that does what they want. So how do you become this person? Not overnight. That's the first thing to know. You don't read one article and suddenly develop immunity. This is built slowly, through repetition and failure and learning. Start with noticing. Notice when you say yes but mean no. Notice when you're explaining yourself to someone who didn't ask. Notice when you feel guilty for having a boundary. Notice when you're managing someone else's emotions so they don't get upset. Just notice. Don't judge it. Don't fix it yet. Then practice the pause. When someone makes a request or a demand or drops a guilt trip, pause. Don't respond immediately. Don't fill the silence. Just pause and ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Not what should I want. Not what would make them happy. And then, and this is the hard part, let that answer matter as much as their request. Practice saying no without explaining. No is a complete sentence. You've heard that before, but have you actually tried it? Can you work this weekend? No. Not no because I have plans. Not no, I'm so sorry, I wish I could. Just no. Watch what happens. Watch how people react. Watch how the world doesn't end. And practice letting people be disappointed. This is the final boss of manipulation immunity. Someone's upset with you, and you don't try to fix it. You let them have their feelings. You stay calm. You maintain your boundary, and you survive their disappointment. Once you do that a few times, once you realize that people can be upset and you can be okay, everything changes. Because disappointment was the weapon, and you just discovered it's made of foam. Here's the truth. Becoming someone who can't be manipulated doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop caring more about their comfort than your integrity. It means you stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. It means you stop playing a game where the only way to win is to lose yourself. And yes, some people will miss the old you, the you who always said yes, who always gave in, who carried their emotions and managed their reactions and made yourself small so they could feel big. But you won't miss that version, because that version was exhausted, that version was resentful, that version was performing a life instead of living one. And this version, the one who can't be manipulated, is finally free. There's a moment that comes after you've set your first real boundary with someone who's used to controlling you. After they've tried everything, the charm, the guilt, the anger, the silence, and you've held steady. There's this moment where they look at you differently. Sometimes it's respect, sometimes it's confusion, sometimes it's rage. But underneath all of it is the same realization: I don't have power here anymore. And in that moment, you'll feel it too. Not power over them. That's not the point. But power over yourself. The knowledge that you can withstand pressure without breaking, that you can be disliked and survive, that your worth isn't up for negotiation. And once you feel that, really feel it, no one can take it from you. Not with tears, not with threats, not with love bombing or silent treatments or carefully crafted guilt, because you've become the one thing a manipulator can't handle, someone who doesn't need them to be okay. And that makes you untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're finally, truly free.